Guten Tag,
Guten Tag.
dear Olaf, dear Andrea, dear
Lieber
Simon,
Andrea, lieber Simon,
dear Martin, dear
lieber
Sigmar.
Martin, lieber Sigmar.
It is a pleasure
Es ist
to be
eine
here with
große
you
Freude,
in your
hier
Congress.
bei euch auf diesem
Thank you very
Kongress zu
much
sein.
for
Recht
your
herzlichen
invitation.
Dank für eure Einladung.
In my office in Madrid,
In meinem
in the
Büro
party headquarters,
in Madrid,
I have a large
bei der
photograph
Partei, habe ich ein
on the wall.
großes Bild an der Wand zu hängen.
The picture captures an exciting
Dieses
moment.
Bild
President
zeigt
Kennedy
einen
and
wichtigen
Willy
Moment.
Brandt,
Der
then
Präsident
Mayor
Kennedy
of
und
Berlin,
Willy Brandt,
greet
damals,
from their car
Bürgermeister
the crowd
von
gathered
Berlin,
in the
grüßt
streets.
zusammen von einem Auto aus
It was
die
the
Menschen, die
famous
auf der
trip
Straße stehen.
of
Das
the
war ein
American
ganz
president back in
berühmtes Bild, wie als
1961
der
to a city that had just been divided by a concrete wall.
Berlin war in einer Stadt, die von einer
I must tell you that this picture has become very useful to break the ice with the visits I welcome in my office. I always begin by saying that it is an inspiring image to leaders in their best moment look into the future with optimism. But for me, the most inspiring part of that picture is not just the leaders. It is the crowd, the people, the crowd in the street. At a time of great uncertainty, with the Cold War threatening peace in Europe once again, there is no fears on the faces of these people. There is instead emotion, there is confidence, there is a determination, there is optimism. Above all, there is hope. And precisely what social democracy has always represented for the people in Germany, in Spain, and in the whole Europe is hope. When hope fails, when people do not look at the future with optimism, but with fear and resignation, the only ones who benefit are those who promise receipts from the past. That is why we cannot allow fear to impose itself over hope. We have to fight those who promise that the only alternative is to turn back the clock of history. We need hope against those that offer simple solutions to complex problems such as climate change, technological revolution, inequalities, and of course major global threats such as immigration or terrorism. My dear comrades, I come from a country that owes a lot to your party, to the SPD, and especially to men like Willy Brandt, someone who witnessed the fall of democracy in Spain, and someone who also 40 years later supported together with his party, your party, the great SPD, the recovery of that same democracy. All of Spain, not only the Socialist Party in Spain, but especially the Socialist Party in Spain, will always have a debt of gratitude to the German social democracy. Today, my dear friends, Spain is a consolidated democracy that proudly looks back to the road traveled along these 4 decades of freedom. A democracy governed by the rule of law. A democracy that integrates diversity in a federal way, such as here in Germany. A full democracy that today faces an old threat, which is unfortunately not foreign to the recent history of Europe, which is secessionism. My dear comrades, the secessionist challenge in Catalonia is not only a threat to the integrity of Spain, it is also a threat to the European project as a whole. It is the European values that are at stake, values that are based on a closer union, never a division and lack of solidarity, values that are based on the need to knock down the walls of mutual incomprehension, values needed to face common challenges against which the old frontiers of nation-state can do nothing. And above all, the values of the rule of law, because nobody is above the law in a democracy. My dear comrades, in the Spanish democracy, the defense of a political project is legitimate, also for those who hold pro-independence positions. But nobody can break the law, and nobody can break a democratic constitution in the 21st century in Europe to achieve political goals.
Jahrhundert in Europa, eigene politische Ziele durchzusetzen.
And the pro-independence movement decided to break the law precisely because they know that they do not have a social majority to democratically change the law.
Mehrheit in der Gesellschaft.
They do not have a social majority, even in Catalonia, to do this.
Gibt es diese Mehrheit
So in the face of this serious constitutional crisis facing in my country, in Europe, the Spanish socialists have not remained idle.
spanischen Sozialdemokratie
We have been very critical about central government actions or inactions.
der zentralen Regierung
They have made important mistakes, among others, the incapacity to establish a dialogue and the inability of the Spanish right to understand territorial diversity as a treasure and not as a threat.
als Bereicherung
And every day that passes, I am more convinced that Spaniards are fully aware that with the socialist government, this situation in Spain would never have reached this breaking point. We can be critical. We can be critical of the government, and we are, but we will never be disloyal to the rule of law and our constitution. We have continuously made calls for dialogue, falling in the deaf ears of those who have only chosen the fracture and the division of a very plural society such as the Catalan one. We have made calls to rebuild bridges with dialogue initiatives, to talk about how to improve the self-government in Catalonia and to reform the Spanish territorial system. To all those calls, my dear friends, the independence movement has always answered with silence. They even have decided not to participate in the parliamentary commission that we proposed to confront the territorial issue. Nevertheless, my dear friends, we will never give up on dialogue. We will keep claiming the space for politics. Dear comrades, the terrorist organization ETA is about, in the next weeks, to announce its definitive dissolution. It is great news, expected for a long time in Europe and in Spain. First of all, I would like to remember those who suffered the most from the justice of terrorism, the victims and their families. Secondly, I want to highlight the essential role of judicial cooperation in the framework of the European Union in this victory. Because without this cooperation, we would never have achieved this triumph. This is the Europe that is worth fighting for. The Europe of cooperation, the Europe of integration, the Europe of solidarity, the Europe that stands on shared values and appeals to a civic demos to transcend borders. The Europe for which it is worth reformulating a great constitutional agreement. Dear friends, we need you in Europe strong and united. Strong and united, walking side by side, shoulder to shoulder in the construction of a social Europe. We need to rebuild all together the social contract broken by the crisis and right-wing policies. One of the great lessons we have learned is that our organization, the SPD and the PSOE, have to open up to society. We need to seek answers to the challenges of the new technological revolutions which are changing our societies, a response from an optimistic vision with confidence in the future. Dear friends, the voice of social democracy needs the inspiration and strength of a party like the SPD. We know it is a very difficult moment for progressives in Europe. I'm not going to deny it, but keep in mind something. The darkest moment is always the one that precedes the dawn. Dear friends, I started this speech remembering the power of an image. A moment of hope and no fear in the eyes of the people. Hope and no fear. My dear friends, let's do it again, and let's do it together. Many thanks.